Chapter 2, Chapter 02, Kya. The situation got worse, howling and screaming all over the place, along with the frantic emergency evacuation orders. The mist burns, which had multiplied in an instant, continued to create new victims. If this goes on, we'll end up like them. Professor Lim screamed in panic. Mistburn is a monster he couldn't catch with the level he has. Of all things, Mistburn was the one that stimulated his most painful trauma. Dash!
Huh? Professor, where are you going?
Suho was shocked. The only hunter here right now, Professor Lim, is running away. Professor Lim, who barely escaped Mistburn's attack, exits the exhibit hall alone. Should I follow him? Suho, who had been thinking for a while, soon moved his body, but towards the direction opposite to where Professor Lim ran off to. Grab! Suho ran to the corner of the hall and picked up the fire extinguisher.
I don't know if this will work, but...
He couldn't bear to run away and leave the others. Holding a fire extinguisher, Suho ran to the place where the mist burns were gathered. Swoosh! White powder spurted out and covered the mist burns. Coo! Of course, since it's an attack that doesn't contain magical power, there won't be any significant damage. However, it was enough to temporarily suppress their firepower.
This will do for now.
After confirming that the fire extinguisher was fortunately working, Suho continued to move the tip of the fire extinguisher and sprayed other mist burns as well. Swoosh! Kyu! Aak! He looked around. Suho found his fallen friend and helped him.
S1, are you okay?
His friend's face was covered with tears and a runny nose.
Hey, get back to your senses!
Suho shook his body, but he remained unfazed. Slap, slap! He was forced to come to his senses by a slap.
Suho?
His friend's eyes barely got focused. Suho looked down.
Did he get sprained?
Let's get out of here first. Suho lifted up his friend and carried him. Thanks to the fire extinguisher, the attacks of the mist burns temporarily weakened. There's no other way to escape from here.
Where's the professor?
The student asked Suho. All art students knew that Professor Lim is a hunter.
He asked for assistance from the Hunters Association earlier, though.
Suho thinks it's not necessary to mention that the professor escaped alone after that.
He could be scared.
At Suho's words, a sigh of relief escaped from his friend's mouth. They got out of the exhibit hall, but things didn't stop there. Rather, it's a lot messier outside. Raw. Grr. Asterisk. They weren't just inside the hall. Suho bit his lip. It seemed like the entire museum was filled with mist burns.
Proliferative monsters. They're really terrible.
He thought he would just have to get out of the exhibit hall. Help. People were all over the place trembling. The Korean National University Art Museum building has a clear passage, both the stairs and elevators, but mist burns are buzzing all over.
At this rate, mankind could be at risk.
Suho quickly assessed the situation. All retreat routes are blocked, and the number of monsters is increasing. The situation will only get worse if they turn into monsters by recklessly jumping out of the window or running around.
Maybe things will get better if I can give them means to protect themselves. Everyone, listen up!
Some of the frightened people looked at Suho.
There's a way to deal with those.
More people then turned their heads his way. They looked at the fire extinguisher in Suho's hand.
I see.
That's right. Fire extinguishers. We can kill the monsters!
The light returned to the eyes of the helpless. Suho felt quite embarrassed.
It couldn't kill the monsters, though. Well, does it matter?
It gave people hope. That is what's important. People scattered and frantically searched for fire extinguishers.
Here, I found one.
I found one too.
The people who found fire extinguishers cheered. At the same time, those who could not find a fire extinguisher became contemplative. There was no way there could be that many fire extinguishers on one floor in the first place. But that was enough.
Not everyone needs a fire extinguisher. Those with fire extinguishers, please follow me.
What?
Disappointment flashed on the faces of the people holding the fire extinguishers. They realized that only those who hold fire extinguishers will take the front line of the battle.
Nice! Let's keep moving this way.
Suho took the lead and aimed the fire extinguisher at Mist Burns.
From now on, action will speak louder than words.
Mist Burns' firepower has noticeably weakened. The complexion of the people who saw that brightened.
Amazing.
Great, I'll do that too.
They started spraying their fire extinguishers as they gained confidence.
Nice! Let's keep moving this way.
Suho kept the lead and continued attacking forward. Meanwhile, people followed Suho and moved through the gaps and down the stairs. The problem is, there were also Mistburns attacking from behind.
At the back, S3. Ack!
The people who were barely stable fell into panic again. Rush. People ran down the stairs in fear. Suho gritted his teeth.
We were almost there.
If this continues, they might all collapse down the stairs.
Suho put down his friend and asked him, "You can go alone from now on, right?"
Huh? What will you do? The friend looked at Suho with a confused face.
Suho shouted at the people holding fire extinguishers with a firm look on his face.
"I'll take care of the back so those at the front can clear the way." Huh? Seriously? Narrator. Suho eventually turned around and climbed the stairs again. I don't know what I'm doing. A person who wasn't awakened began acting like a hunter, but there's nothing he can do otherwise. His body moved ahead. Swoosh! Q! Suho's fire extinguisher attacked the Mistburns coming from behind. But then, S2, media, person using fire extinguisher, extinguishing flames, battle scene. Alright!
The Mistburn came towards Suho. Whiff! The blue smoke engulfed him. He was also about to become a new Mistburn, but right then, swish! At that moment, he came face to face with the Mistburn, and fell gradually deep into the abyss as he lost consciousness. I'm doomed. Grrr. Narrator. Media. Person feeling doomed. Dramatic face. White powder stopping. The white powder that had been spouting vigorously suddenly stopped. Right then, the helplessly pushed Mistburn, and Suho's eyes met awkwardly. Born from remnants of mana, Mistburn was a feeble creature that only moved by instinct. It was also a troublesome monster that could become stronger as long as it had enough to consume, and endlessly increase its alter ego. Which is best for them to consume? Just simply, living things. Among them, humans with abundant vitality were good prey that could burn well like dry firewood. In that sense, Suho was the perfect prey for Mistburn. However, swish. The moment it engulfed Suho's body, the Mistburn fell into a pitch-black abyss hidden within Suho. Kyu? The bewildered Mistburn looked around. No matter where it looked, there was no end to the abyss. But in the deepest part of the abyss, someone was watching. Mistburn growled ferociously, standing still with the blue smoke. Kyuha, ka. No matter how much it growled, all that came back was an empty echo. The Mistburn then realized. It was not someone, rather, it was the entire abyss, looking down on him. It's like drooling over a piece of prey. Kayak? The abyss opened its mouth wide at the Mistburn, which was startled and tried to run away. Gulp.
Huh?
Suho flashed a puzzled expression. The Mistburn that had been attacking him suddenly. Crackle. The human body, which had been the wick, also collapsed on the spot as ashes. Right then, Suho's eyes widened at the message that suddenly appeared in front of him. Your level increased. Sparkle! A brilliant light enveloped Suho's entire body. Suho's friend, Kim Dae-hyun, managed to escape outside the museum.
Slump.
As soon as his limping foot touched the ground outside, he lost strength. Sitting helplessly in front of the art museum, Dae-hyun's gaze instinctively searched for Suho.
What about Suho? Have you seen him?
Who is that? That guy?
The people remembered the student who took the lead and fought with a fire extinguisher. However, Suho was nowhere to be seen. Someone hesitantly opened their mouth.
That person went back to attack from behind.
No way, he hasn't come out yet?
Everyone began mumbling. Someone spoke in a hopeful voice.
He's a hunter, so wouldn't he be fine?
Suho is not a hunter.
Dae-hyun screamed. That fact was even more shocking.
What? He's not a hunter?
He is not one, but how did he?
Their gazes simultaneously turned to the art museum. Suho wasn't able to get out yet. The hunters arrived just in time after receiving the report.
In here.
Professor Lim, who ran away first, brought the hunters. He let out a sigh of relief when he saw the people who had escaped the museum safely. Professor Lim. Such a relief. I guess everyone got out somehow. As an E-class hunter, he convinced himself that he had chosen the best way. But when he saw the people, he felt guilty for being cowardly.
By the way, how did you manage to escape?
Professor Lim and the hunters looked at the crowd with puzzled expressions. Mistburn attacked such an isolated place, yet a lot were able to survive. As fortunate as it was, they couldn't help but be curious about what had happened.
More than that, there is still someone left in there. Suho is still...
Suho? Suho is still inside?
Assistant Professor Lim was taken aback and turned his gaze to the museum.
If it wasn't for Suho, we would all be dead.
The faces of all the survivors turned gloomy at Dae-hyun's depressing words.
Is that person a hunter? What class?
He's a civilian.
What? How could a normal person do that?
Hunters were ready to throw more questions. Rumble. An ominous roar came from the museum building. Everyone turned their heads toward the sound. Hazy magical power began flowing out of the building.
Oh dear, is disintegration going to start?
Disintegration is a phenomenon in which the blue mist flowing from the gate contaminates the surroundings. Areas contaminated by the magical power of the other world become a good environment for demons to live in. If the area beyond the gate is called a dungeon, the area around the gate that was contaminated is called a field-type dungeon. First of all, this polluted place was like a dungeon, and considering that, the Korea University Museum of Art was like a land of death.
I guess that student...
The hunter couldn't say it, but anyone could tell what he was trying to say. On the other hand, Suho... Your level increased. Is it that thing? Something unbelievable happened. Letters floating in the air. The level up notice he only saw in his dreams a long time ago appeared in reality. Jeez, is this a dream again? No, this is definitely not a dream this time. The vivid sense of reality passing through his skin was proving that fact. In addition, the moment the level up message appeared, the accumulated fatigue he felt had disappeared completely. Even the minor burns caused by the mist burns were all healed. But what is this? What? Status window. Name, Sung Suho, level 1, occupation none, title none, HP 100 out of 100, MP 10 out of 10, stats, muscle strength 10, body strength 10, agility 10, intellect 10, senses 10, divisive ability point 0, skills, passive skill none, active skill, ruler power level 1. Information on Suho was briefly displayed on the status window, just like a game. Suho immediately checked the next message as well. Quest, rescue the victims. There are people waiting to be rescued nearby. Rescue as many of them as possible. The reward depends on the number of people rescued. Current number of survivors, 52. Current number of rescued victims, 0. The second was the quest window. This quest window is also a feature that he had never seen in his dream. The reward varies depending on the number rescued. It was like a real game, except that this is a stark reality. Even at this moment, people are still dying in real life. Suho suddenly came to his senses when he saw this notice board right then. Oops! He must have been too preoccupied with the status window. A mist burn, which came close to him, started attacking. You! Suho just swung his arm everywhere. Smack! Something incredible happened. Mist burn, who had been hit by Suho's fist, bounced back in agony. Huh? Suho looked at his hand and was even more appalled. He hit the blazing blue smoke with bare hands, but it wasn't even hot. Another mist burn attacked from behind. Suho immediately threw a fist without hesitation. Smack! Ack! It was the same this time too. Mistburn helplessly bounced backward at Suho's normal punch. Go! At this point, the Mistburn was also taken aback. Suho is obviously a person who doesn't look like much, but it hurts when he hits. However, Mistburn is a creature driven solely by instinct. As the Mistburn screamed, more of its kind around the area rushed towards Suho. However, Suho was not shaken in the slightest by the menacing sight because he realized that the moment they pose no threat to him is the time for him to strike back. Thud! Suho charged forward immediately. Smack! Thud! Kua! Ack! There's a completely different thing from usual games. The tank originally receives the monster's attack and blocks the front line, while the damage dealer will carry out the strategy while attacking. However, Suho ignored all that and just swung his fist toward the monsters. Still, the effect was certain. Suho kept moving, defeating them one by one. In the meantime, the number of survivors continued to decrease. This means that the number of mist buns increased. The higher their numbers, the faster people will die. He must hurry. Suho scoured the museum for survivors. Get out of here. He searched all corners of the art museum and sent them out. Asterisk.
What? How are these people escaping?
The hunters outside the museum were shocked. They were just checking the equipment before going in, but people kept coming out one by one.
Someone saved me.
As a student inside helped me.
The hunters who heard them were even more surprised.
Who could be fighting the monsters inside? Is another hunter already in there?
There's no way. Not only that, there are no hunters among the students, but the other hunters haven't arrived yet.
Could it be Suho?
Suho?
Assistant Lim and the hunters, doubtful at those words, exchanged glances with each other. The odds of an ordinary person surviving in a field-type dungeon were extremely rare. But they couldn't bear to tell Daehyun that his friend could be dead. However, one of those who just escaped knew Suho.
That's right, Senior Suho saved us.
What?
Suho, how on earth?
He's beating up the monsters with a bare fist.
Bare fist?
The words made the hunters feel sorry. Those people must have seen it incorrectly out of fear. Fighting Mistburn with bare fists was too risky.
His hands would burn.
It's a suicide move.
Unless you are a hunter who can cover your fists with magic, at least you must protect your hands with a gauntlet to avoid getting burned. It almost sounded certain that a student named Suho was alive and saving people. The hunters murmured with serious expressions.
Maybe that student has awakened.
Suho awakened?
Professor Lim turned his gaze towards the museum. Even at that moment, victims rescued by Suho were still coming out. The hunters murmured with serious expressions.
Team leader, we're done measuring the mana. It seems to be a D-class dungeon.
All right, we must hurry.
Knowing that it was a D-class dungeon, the hunters felt more determined. If it were a D-class dungeon, there would be monsters much stronger than Mistburn. Even if Suho, a student, had just awakened, no one could guarantee how long a beginner with no dungeon experience could hold out in there. Ting! You have killed a Mistburn. After clearing all visible Mistburns, Suho let out a deep breath. Almost done. He was so exhausted he wanted to lie down, but his mind was empty. Ring! Your level increased. Suho's whole body was wrapped in transparent light. An energy surged into his body. I'll be able to continue with this much. The moment Suho tries to find the remaining people and move forward, bang! Suddenly, the ceiling exploded. Piles of stones scattered in all directions, along with a huge amount of dust. Suho was startled and rolled on the floor, but he couldn't avoid it. Red blood flowed from his forehead where his previous wounds had just healed when he got into level 2. But that wasn't the problem. A giant wolf descended from a hole in the ceiling. Growl! Thud! As soon as Suho saw that enormous thing, he stood up. I can never win against this, he thought while looking at it, a survival instinct that all living things possess. He felt an instinctive fear that was different from Mistburn. Grrr! The giant wolf arrogantly looked down at Suho. Its eyes looked at the wounded prey with nowhere to run. A tremendous sense of intimidation oppressed Suho. Kake! Suho clenched his teeth. He had no intention of coming this far, only to be weighed down by fear.
I'll just do whatever I can. If I can't escape, I'll attack first.
Thud! Suho took a rock he could get his hands on and threw it at the opponent. However, the giant wolf raised its front foot and shook off the attack as if it were so ridiculous. Now! Suho jumped towards it quickly. Then he swung the fist that had killed dozens of Mistburns. It wasn't enough. Growl! Crash! The giant wolf bit Suho on the shoulder. Ack! Suho clenched his teeth and hit the wolf on the head with his body bitten. That was also insufficient. Blag! In the end, Suho was thrown to the ground. His body was pressed down by the giant wolf's front paws. It was a losing fight to begin with, knowing that the wolf enjoyed the victory as if it were only natural. Just as the wolf's ferocious teeth were about to bite Suho's neck, it was then. A miracle happened. Hank! Swoosh! From a distant universe. Suddenly, a black bolt of lightning struck vertically from the sky above. Grumble! The ceiling exploded, and a space between the giant wolf and Suho separated them apart. As the dust cleared, the Ant King appeared with its whole body covered with black haze. Baru level max martial class. Baru was looking down at Suho, holding down the wolf's mouth with one hand.
Ja,